It's 7 o'clock. We're here for the final.
Sorry?
Yes. Excuse me. It's going to be great. We are finishing Patternmaster. This is wild. We're going to be finishing the Patternist series. For those of you who are rewatching while we're waiting for people to come in, my name is Jerry. This is ONYX Pages. If you're not familiar with the BookTube channel, I am one of the 3 hosts for the Octavia E. Butler Slow Read, where we are slowly and luxuriously reading all of Octavia E. Butler's published works in near publication order. We started with Kindred, and then we continued with the Patternist series. We started in September of 2020, and we have been reading one book bi-monthly since then. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, we will have our our live show for the Patternist, for Patternmaster. And we will also be ending off the series because Patternmaster, which is what we're reading right now, is the last book in the Patternist series. So yesterday we got together. We read up to chapter 5 together. The hope was that we would get to everybody would read chapter 6, and then we would start today at chapter 7. We've got about 4 people who are watching right now. 3, it might be a light night, which is totally fine. It is Saturday night. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start with a 15-minute sprint because I have 6 more pages to read in chapter 6. And then after that, we will do our greetings and see if anybody wants to join. So I'm just going to finish off chapter 6 because I didn't quite get to finish it. So I will share the screen. I will see you in 15 minutes, and then we will formally start. If you are joining in the chats, I'm inviting everybody who's joining in the chats to actually join on screen since it's our last night. So you've had time to prepare. You knew I was going to ask you. So please consider joining. So our first sprint is going to be 15 minutes, and then we will formally start after that. Happy reading, and hopefully we'll all be on at least the beginning of chapter 7. Hello. Hello. All right. So first things first. Hello. Welcome. It is the last slow read session for Patternmaster. If I'm looking down, it's because I'm annotating and bedazzling my book. So you are invited to join because it's a party. It's a party. So as people come on, hello, Maria. Nice to see you. You've got everybody. You have the link in the comments. There's been wine, so I'm gonna just be like a little bit slower than usual, which is totally fine, I say. So yes, so please use the link, get it into your browser. Let's see how many people we can get online to finish off the book in style as we do together. And so while we're waiting for people to join in, Maria, since you're the first, where are you in your reading? How is it going? How are you feeling about
I'm on Pacific time, so it was hard for me to stop yesterday. Like the end of chapter 6 was a tough way. I wanted to keep reading, so I'm excited. I was glad I didn't have to wait a whole week, so I'll be starting chapter 7 with everybody, or today.
Awesome. Hello, Catherine. It is your first time joining us online live for the slow reading session. So where are you at? Just unmute yourself. Where are you at? And the speaker can accommodate up to 10 people. So keep coming in, folks. Yes. So Catherine, where are you at? And welcome.
Hi. This is my first time doing this like live thing on YouTube. So I just did it. Yay! Very exciting. Hopefully my pets will cooperate. I just started chapter 7. I'm in huge suspense. I was also having a hard time not reading ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is definitely an exercise in restraint. So I commend all of us.
Yeah.
Sarah, how are you? You are joining us for the second time this weekend. How's it going?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
And where are you right now?
I'm still in the Netherlands.
No, like in terms of what you're reading.
Oh, I'm in the beginning of chapter 7 because I really wanted to read on yesterday, but I had to stop myself. Reading it together is so much more fun.
Yeah, you know what? I really appreciate that people are just like, I have to stay with the group. We have to do this together. So thank you everybody for doing that. And just one last call to Tamara and Kim and Christina. You're here too, Jersey fam. So you're welcome to join. I hope that you do. I think we're gonna start off with a half an hour sprint. But before we do that, since we're all right now, everybody who's on screen, we've finished chapter 6. And Teray made a choice again, right? And how do we feel about this choice? And how are you, like, what's got you? Like, what was it that you wanted? What got you wanting to like move on? Like, I know that there was a lot of suspense, but was there something in particular that you wanted to read to see how it would resolve? Anybody?
I think just the situation of they're running away, they're being hunted, but then again, the clay arcs are near, and they want to get somewhere where they're not even sure they can find refuge. So it's very insecure. And when I'm reading this kind of stories, it's like I really want to get somewhere secure. So that's why I wanted to read on.
Go ahead, Catherine.
No, I was just agreeing.
Okay. I was wondering what I think that Octavia E. Butler gave us the interaction with that particular clay arc for a reason. And I was wondering if that clay arc was going to be in the group that had pursued them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also really curious about how arrogant the Patternists are about the Clayarchs, about what they know about the Clayarchs. And I wonder if like something is going to happen to show that the Clayarchs are actually more kind, collaborative, and than what the Patternists think. Because we are taking, if we're not careful, we will understand the Clayarchs from the Patternist perspective only.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what they say about, history, right? It's written from the perspective of the victor. So
Exactly, but I think you can make it even bigger and look at the opportunities of a treaty coming together. Is there a possibility for some kind of working together or some kind of understanding? And because to me, the Patronists are the ones in the way right now
of an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also liked the bit of history that we got in chapter 6 that helped to pull in Clay's arc and Patternmaster together. That really helped me because I've been finding the connections between the books a little bit challenging to keep track of. So that was really helpful. Any other thoughts from anyone before we move on to our first half an hour sprint?
I think for me, the main thing on my mind, like going into chapter 7 and the rest of the book, is I've seen Teray to kind of show empathy sometimes as his first impulse with the Clayarch, with the mutes, with, but then at the same time, he now has 2 examples where that he has this woman partner who he's not really considering in a big decision in a way that, it's like, so I'm just trying to sort out whether I like him or not. There's a part of me that really does like him because he is so open to wanting to understand the Clayarchs and the mutes and, but then at the beginning of chapter 7, he acknowledges he completely disregarded Amber in the deal that he just struck with Carancy. He just didn't even think of her.
Yeah. Maria,
you were saying that this one came out before Clay's arc, is that correct? So I was thinking about that, of how like we've been reading it chronologically, but if we were looking at the publishing order, we wouldn't have any of that knowledge of the Clayarch. So it is like she's setting us up to be wooed by that single perspective of the Patternist and to see Clayarchs that way, like kind of like setting us up to see how easily we fall into bias. And so that it's not until a later book that we're like, oh my God, all these things I assumed were wrong. Like, look at how easily I was duped. And so like we'll learn about the Clayarchs differently, like we'll meet Jacob. But also there's the part where he talks about Clay's arc, the ship, as in, this is what brought the Clayarchs here. Look at this disaster. This is what happened when the mutes, quote unquote, are in charge. And refers to it as an invention of theirs, something that they did. But Clay was not a mute, correct? Like he wasn't part of the pattern, but he would have been what was considered an outsider here, right? So, but we wouldn't know that. We would just be like, oh yeah, it does seem like they sure are messing up. Look at what they did. And then we would look and go, oh no, it was never even them in the first place. That was just this revisionist history.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really interesting.
Yes. And like, because the timelines are so broken up, it allows us an opportunity to think about how easily history is manipulated and created, right? Because we're recreating the past all the time, right? As soon as we find out more, like even just think about what we're learning about the depths of the sea, right? It's like, oh, we've got fish with lungs now. How does that change everything? So it's so that's that. Yeah, totally. All right. Any last thoughts before we start our 30-minute sprint? Okay. So let me get that. I've been reading roughly like a chapter per half an hour. I know that some of the latter chapters are shorter, but if that works out, that would be great. Let me just close this, get a 30-minute timer. Again. Oops. Okay. Okay, happy reading, everyone. See you in 30 minutes. Hello, Latrice. Welcome to the party. So that was half an hour. I realized that there are many more pages in my copy of the book, and that a large part of what's left is actually an excerpt from Dawn. So I'm actually only 27 pages away from finishing, and I'm not ready for it to be over.
I know.
A lot that needs to happen, and it's not going to happen in 27 pages, and I'm not ready. So anyway, maybe Latrice, since you're the newest one to our discussion this evening, where are you at, and what do you need? Not that you're going to get it, but what do you need before the entire series ends? And for those who are enjoying the slow read through the chats, of course, if you'd like to join us, I'll put the link in the comments, but you can also say where you are and what you need before this all ends. So Latrice?
I don't know what I need. I'm in the middle of chapter 8. Coruscant or whatever, however you say his name, he need to go. He just need to go. Okay, he needs to go. I need Teray and Amber to just get this pattern together and like resolve everyone's worlds. Everyone come together and kumbaya in the new world. That's what I need. I know that ain't gonna happen, but that's my desire.
Gotcha.
But I have to say, I was reading chapter 6 last night, and Maria's comment from last night, I was like, what? She called it. She called it. Now, I don't know if everybody is at the same place, so I don't want to say, but she definitely called it. I thought that was hilarious. But that's it for me.
Anyone else?
Maria, what was your comment last night? I logged off early. What did you say?
I was just writing fan fiction.
Okay.
I think I might not have gotten to the same part yet. So I still have suspicions, and I feel like some of my suspicions are getting reinforced the more I read.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it sounds like if I repeat my fan fiction, I might be giving something away.
Are you in chapter 6? Sorry if I spoiled you a little bit.
Me or Catherine?
You.
I am like a page into chapter 8.
Oh, well, you already read past it. I'll have to send you a note, and maybe I'll send you a note.
Because I wrote a few different pieces of fan fiction yesterday.
Because I don't want to necessarily say it, just depending on where people are.
Yeah,
because it is kind of spoilery, but it's very specific. So, I mean, we can definitely talk about it tomorrow, but I'll send you a note.
I always get nervous with the fan fiction stuff. I'm like, if I think this is really true, should I not say a thing? Because then it's kind of like a spoiler. But I like just kind of writing along, like being like, oh, these are all the different ways that the story could go. Is sometimes really fun.
What about Catherine and Sarah?
What was the question?
I finished chapter 8. So now I'm like, I have to stop talking.
Yeah.
But it's very tense.
Yeah, Catherine, the question is, where are you and what do you need before? What do you need before?
Okay.
And you're not going to get it anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to get it. Now, I mean, I'm right toward the end of chapter 7, where we have learned. Can I say what we've learned? Is everybody close enough to the end of chapter 7 that I can say?
Why don't you keep it a little vague, because it's kind of a home stretch. So I think we're more sensitive to spoilers because we're all kind of near the end.
In there, right? Okay, so we've learned there are more beings there than maybe we thought, and now I'm like invested in seeing like some of these characters. You know, it's clear that many of them probably won't be around at the end of the book. There's going to be killing. It feels like probably a lot of it, and but now I'm, officially invested in some relationships and some characters. And
yeah,
I'm also feeling like my mind just continues to be blown around like the order Octavia Butler wrote these stories in and the order we're reading them in. And I sort of feel like at this point, maybe like going back and rereading them, but in different orders, like maybe going through them in the order she wrote them and then going back in the chronological order. It just blows my mind, how she mapped it all out.
Yeah, I think that reading them in the order, in like the chronological order, definitely tells like a story. It tells a story. It helps us with the story. But reading them in the order that she wrote them tells us about her, right? And her maturation,
Yes.
and about her own journey. And so I think like whatever order you read them in, there are certainly like gifts. So yeah, if you ever read it again, read the series again, and I would be interested in hearing, you should reach out to us, because I would really be interested in hearing like what new information and insights you or anybody else gets, as a result of doing that. Nikita, hello. You're definitely welcome to join us. Oh, I noticed there's a bunch of like, private chats. Okay, that's cool. I don't have to worry about those. Okay, so let's see what folks are saying before we do our next sprint. And everybody think about how long we need for the next sprint. I think we'll probably all be, I'm hoping many of us will be able to finish the book within half an hour, but I'm not sure. So let's think about how long we might need, because it would be nice to sort of finish together if we can. All right, so Tamara, you said, I'm excited that he made the choice because he gets to meet. Oh wait, what? Oh, it was hard to stop at 6. Okay, so you were talking about being excited that Teray made the choice to go to Forsyth, because it would give him an opportunity to see Rael. Okay, hoping this is the end for Carancy. It was really interesting also to hear. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, Latrice. Yes, I'll just leave it there. And Maria, yeah. So Kim, I'm halfway through chapter 8. I don't need anything specific from the book as a whole, but I'm excited for the live show so I can hear everyone's feelings. Christina, I'm starting chapter 9. I would need for the pattern to end, but I don't think there's time for that. That's fair. And yes, I'll leave it at that. Tamara, finished chapter 7, but thinking more about 5 and 6 still. A lot happened in 6. We were talking about who or what Amber is. I was struck by the idea that I want to know when she is. I have to say, the more I observe Amber, the more I'm like, you're Anyanwu. Like, you're either Anyanwu, and I know you're not, or maybe you're not, but the way that Amber operates really reminds me of her, like a lot. Her language seems dated since we are 100 years ahead. She speaks of getting the hell beat out of her, and the speech of all the other characters seems so formal. That's interesting. I feel like, is there plastic running?
No.
Okay. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. And I feel like it's because of how the patternists are. They all seem so formal, because being like quote unquote mutes or ordinary people is so below them, but that's just my theory. Okay. All right. Hello, Nikita. Feel free to join us in the chat.
I wonder if she's less formal because she's independent. Everybody else has bought into these hierarchy systems, and so they're speaking like the way you would speak to your boss in like a really hierarchical organization. But she's just like, I can say whatever I want, however I want to say it, because I'm independent.
Yeah. I think also is that independence that has me like, the only other person who talked about her independence that much, I feel like, was Anyanwu, like not like pre-Emma. You know what I mean? So yes. Hey Erica, thank you for stopping in and saying hello. All right. So how much time do we want to spend in this this next sprint. I have a feeling, just based on where everybody is, I feel like if we had half an hour, many of us would be done. Yeah. How much time do you think we should do?
Half an hour is amazing, I think. For me, it's exactly 18 minutes, and then I'll be screaming.
Okay. Are you listening to it on audiobook, or
Yeah.
you are? Oh, maybe slow it down and like really painstakingly go through the last little bit. Okay. All right. So half an hour. All right, everyone. Okay. So let's go. Wait a minute. Okay, sorry, I'm reading the private chat and now I have things to say. Okay. All right, we're gonna do half an hour, and happy reading, everyone. See you in half an hour, and enjoy the end of Patternmaster. I'm literally on the second last page. I am not done. And I'm stressed. That's my TED Talk. How's everybody else doing?
I think I'm about 10 pages to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Others?
I'm just at the start of 9, so I have a little bit of ways to go.
Okay.
I'm about 3 pages into 9.
Okay. So we need a bit more time. So let's do another sprint and maybe not chat now because like I know we need to just get back to the reading. So how much time do we think? Another half an hour so everybody can kind of. Does that feel good? Half an hour?
I'm okay with that, but I'll leave that up to you guys.
Yeah. Does anybody have an objection to half an hour?
Half an hour might be a little long, but because it seems like we're making a little, even I feel like I'm on the slower end and I'm making like a chapter plus a couple pages in half an hour.
Okay.
But I haven't looked at the YouTube chat to see if anybody put their status.
Camilla says 30 minutes. Some people are finished. So, okay. Since 30 minutes will be good for Tamara, I don't want anybody to feel super rushed. What I will say is that if you finish before the next 30 minutes, take a look at some of the discussion questions in the back if you're reading from this one, and maybe like think about anything that you want to answer. Or you can also Google discussion questions for Patternmaster if you don't have this version of the book. So let's do another half an hour, recognizing that like some of us will finish in that time.
Great. Perfect.
Latrice?
I need more.
I know. A lot more. 6 more books.
Right? We need to read. I'm convinced we need to write fan fiction. Period. I got to figure out how to do that.
Listen, if y'all want to start like a parallel slow fan fiction situation,
yo, I'm down.
I would be happy to like support that. If like a group of people wanted to be like, let's somehow do some kind of like parallel online fan fiction, something or other.
I am down. I don't even know how to do it, but I'm down.
I feel like it's there. Like I'm happy to raise that as a possibility tomorrow and to, ask people if they're interested. And if somebody wants to take the lead on coordinating, because I can't, then I would be happy to like get people's emails together and then send them to the person coordinating. So I am seriously putting that out there if that's something folks want to do. Because I know there are a lot of like fan fiction writers who are part of the slow read. Emerging writers also. Just a shout out to Nikita Blair, who is joining us from Guyana, who is a writer and reviewer and is amazing. And there are many, many others. So.
Okay, cool.
And I agree with that comment of Nikita's that I just saw pop up about needing to know more about the clay art culture. Yeah. I really thought it was going to go there somewhere.
Yeah, but it's just too short.
Mm-hmm. Oh. It's amazing that there's 5 books on this world that she's created, and it still leaves us wanting more.
Yeah. So good though.
Yeah. So for those I know that there are 7 watching, and there are 4 besides me, like actually in the show, which means there's probably only 2 in the chat, I think is how it works. So I'm just curious if you're watching and not in the chat, what like, how are you feeling just at the end, right? At the end of this. So Tamara, you said the ending was satisfying to me. Though I definitely found the ending, like it felt like an ending for me. I would have liked something else to have happened. So at one point I was like, are they going to give Amber the pattern? Is Amber going to?
I was hoping for that. I was so hoping. I was like, give it. I thought he was going to die. Yeah. And it was Amber. And I was like, yes, because I've been Team Amber for a while.
Yes.
And I was like, you could die too, bro. Yeah. Girl.
Yeah.
Like, especially
and in a way,
healing thing and all that.
And in a way that would have made it come full circle from starting with Anyanu and ending with Amber.
Yeah. And it's interesting because this is the first one she wrote. Is that it?
I think so.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that's the first one she wrote, because I noticed that I was getting more disappointed because it got more male-centered, cis male-centered in the order that we read it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was thinking, I wonder if I find it interesting that Mind of My Mind, the focus was Mary. Wild Seed, the focus was Anyanu. Survivor, right? The
Alana,
protagonist, right, was Alana. And those were, well, not exactly the later books, but I'm just really curious about that. We also see an interesting element in Amber, who is like, I am queer. I know you have some questions, and let's just do this. You're not going to like my answer because I'm not going to end up in any binary that's going to help you, bro. But like, we can do the thing you want to do. So go ahead, ask me which one, even though we're not dealing with 2, right? Like, it just like, we had that really funny moment for me. And I was like, well, it was really nice to know that we had this, like, sort of intervention of queerness in a world that is organized around such like rigid gender and sexual binaries. It was nice to see that right away. So
in the 70s, no less.
For sure. Which in some ways makes sense. But also, it was really cool. Like he takes up. I was just reading because I finished in the first 10 minutes. So I was reading from I read 2 essays from Approaches to Teaching the Works of Octavia E. Butler. And this was edited by Tarshia Stanley. And there's a short essay in here by Dr. Sami Shock. And Dr. Sami Shock wrote Body Minds Reimagined, which is looking at disability in the speculative fiction written by Black women. So she has an essay in here talking about disability in Lilith's Brood and also in the Seed to Harvest series. And so she was talking about like disability as a social construction and how the term disabled is a relative term, right? So like if all buildings were built with ramps, then people in wheelchairs wouldn't be considered disabled for the purpose of getting in and out of spaces, right? So she's like, disability exists because we create inaccessible worlds, right? And so apparently from her perspective, Clay's arc in the Patternist series like has a really, really strong, it offers us a portal to talking about ability, disability, and the way that the Clay arcs, the Patternists, the quote unquote mutes, how all of these individuals interact, right? Is a commentary on disability and on which bodies are considered acceptable, desirable. And she had some really interesting things to say. And then I read a second article about the organism, like the disease, quote unquote, and all of the things that the disease disrupts. So it disrupts monogamy. It disrupts ableism. It disrupts what else? This was a really interesting one. It prefers scent over sight. So in terms of attractiveness, what you look like is not as important as to what you smell like, which then therefore makes a whole different group of people attractive, and maybe people who are conventionally attractive undesirable. And I was like, I can't grades for tomorrow. I can't have my whole head blown up. We need to preserve the cells. So I was, really, just really, really, really interesting. Others, thoughts, feelings.
You just dropped all these bombs on us, and you're like, okay, and you.
Like, I have to take notes now on everything. Yeah. Still taking notes over here.
I mean, we have like hours tomorrow, so we can definitely use tonight or whatever time it is for you, like this morning for some of you, as just let it marinate. We're gonna have time to talk about it tomorrow, so I'm not going to announce anything, but I will just say that something special is going to happen tomorrow in the live show, as a way to mark the end of our first series in the slow read. So yeah, that's a thing that's going to happen. So any last comments?
Anybody I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Maria.
I feel like just on like the last couple of pages, and this is like a detail that I feel like I wish I had a clearer picture of how it happens. The actual transition of power. It sounds like that won't happen. At first, I got the impression that it won't happen. Sorry, there's a kettle in the kitchen. It sounds like that won't happen until there's a need to pull the pattern together. So something like a clay arc emergency. And then that is when Real was saying that Teray will have to take the pattern and that it will kill Real. But then he says, hurry up and get here because I'm like, basically I'm really tired, which implies that as soon upon his arrival that he'll be able to shirk some responsibility onto Teray, which sounds different than a clay arc emergency. Like I don't know. Did anyone else feel like they had a better understanding from those last couple of pages about what was going to happen with the actual transition of power that was like coming when Teray arrives and force it?
I got the sense that Real could give the pattern over, but in order to do so, he would die, right? So, like, he has to, if the pattern's going to move from him to someone else, he's going to die because in releasing his connection, right, to everybody in the pattern, like, that will end him because he doesn't have the same healing capacity, right?
Mm.
When Teray was diminished after letting everybody go, he was like, whoa, I'm wow, that was a lot. So I thought that Real has the ability to like give it over, because I feel like in the last couple of pages Real made a reference to like, I could give it to you.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's something that needs to happen like once he gets there. I don't know. I don't know. What did others think?
I was seeing Nikita's bringing up something in the chat that's a possible answer. It's like, isn't his death a clay arc emergency since he would die of the clay arc disease?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I feel like you need to read that last page and a half over a couple times to understand what's happening.
Yeah, there was a lot. It was a bit of an info dump in terms of like, okay, I pass the baton over. Here's how it all works. Yeah.
And I'm like rushing to finish reading. I'm like watching the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
It's almost like she got to the end and was like, oh crap, I only wanted this to be 5 more pages. I'm just going to reveal it all in a conversation between the two of them.
I thought that was a really cool device that she used. And
Yeah. Here's a few other thoughts. I love how this series could be such a good commentary on life. It seems like people change their opinions and expectations as we read each book. It leaves us constantly wanting more and wanting to learn the various layers of the people around us, but that's literally impossible. We have to take what we know and use it to reflect on our own lives. I just think this series does that really well.
Yeah.
I recall and want to return to something that I heard said earlier. I think it was Adrienne Marie Brown on her podcast, How to Survive the End of the World, I think is what it's called. There's that the Patternist series is actually closer to what we're dealing with right now than some of her other works that are most often cited to be predictive, like Parable of the Sower, for example. So I'm really curious about like what can we take from this? What can we take from this notion of a pattern? And I think the most interesting thing for me, the most interesting landscape in the whole series was the pattern, right? Followed second by being inside Anyanwu when she was healing herself, which was just like the best interior, right? For me. Yeah.
So many good things. I mean, I think we had such a ride. I mean, this has just been enjoyable. And to read it with like people all over, like it's, how incredible is that, I can't wait for the next series, but this has a special place in my heart for sure. The Patternist series, for sure. I'm gonna sit there and think about what could have happened,
Yeah, I agree. And we're a bit of a pattern ourselves, right? Like, I do feel like there are ways that we can kind of like reach out to each other too, right? And like we are, like, I know that there are certainly people who are reading these books and having similar reactions to me. They might be closer to me in the pattern. as we go through this versus others who, you know, are having other reactions that I don't potentially share. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of really interesting ways to kind of think about just the experience of reading slowly, right? And collectively. Very, very different from reading on my own, for sure.
This book really emphasized those links. Like so much was talked about Teray and Amber and the link that they had. And it makes me think of almost like it was be a commentary on like having community, and that when you're able to, how much strength you can get from being able to share things with a community who understands you and supports you. So really kind of beautiful to read a story that talks about those themes, like with an actual community.
Yeah. Yay. Okay. Are we complete for now? And we'll pick this up tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, you asked us to look at the questions if we had the time, and those questions are amazing. There are really great questions on that list. So I would ask to look at them tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think what I would ask folks to do who are doing the rewatch or also here is mark down the questions that you want the facilitators of the group to talk about. We have we'll have five of us will be facilitating discussions. We're trying to this is also an invitation if any of you are interested in being facilitators for the next series, please let us know. But we have 5. Nikita is going to be joining us, so it'll be Nikita, Regina, Renee, myself, Isis, and Tatiana. So there'll be 5 groups, which will be smaller, and we're always trying to get smaller groups. So the more volunteers, the smaller the groups get, the smaller the groups, the more intimate the discussion. So yeah, just make sure that you tell whoever is facilitating that you want to discuss one of the questions, and maybe do it right away, just because sometimes there's a little bit of a lag as people start to decide how comfortable they feel in whatever group constellation they're a part of. Okay.
Zoom connection again tomorrow for the live event?
Yeah, there will be a Zoom. It'll be on Zoom as well as YouTube.
Okay.
So you'll be getting, as long as you've signed up through the Eventbrite, you'll be getting emails tomorrow.
Right.
Just saying like it's happening and here's the link for you to get on, and I'll make sure that it's the right link, probably tonight. So, or first thing in the morning.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this adventure. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, and have a good evening or midday or go to bed.
Morning.
Yes. Enjoy your reflections until tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone in the chat. And thanks, everyone in the rewatch.
Bye.
Bye.